This video walking tour will teach you how to use landscape design principles and garden ideas for emphasis, privacy, and balance in your garden. Lisa Strange, former landscape designer, now ag and natural resource agent, University of Florida, Taylor County Extension, will take us on a tour of her personal garden and show us how she's implemented these landscape design ideas in her garden. The ideas are simple, easy to implement so that you can create the garden that you love. Hi, it's Alice, and I'm here with Lisa Strange. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning to you. I'm excited to share a little bit about my garden and experiences.
How did you get this gardening experience here?
I moved from Plant City and it was a clean slate, which was challenging, but it was what I was looking for so that I could put what I wanted where. It's 1 acre, all Bahia grass, and there were maybe 6 trees, and that's it. I have incorporated a lot of Florida-friendly landscaping principles in this area. Been a slave all my life to a yard. And when I came here, I told myself, I'm not going to do that this time. I have limited beds and mostly native plants, and everything's covered heavily with pine straw or pine bark mulch to limit the weeding. And it's a very manageable, I think it's very pleasing and semi-manicured property.
As a gardener, what would be one tip that you would give us for when you're getting ready to plan your garden and try to design a garden that you love?
Using a lot of native plants so that you don't have the problems with pests and diseases that could come with using something that's not appropriate in your zone. And keep it very minimal. You know what you can do and can't do. I have had back problems all my life, so I'm tired of bending over. So I try to minimize that. Of course, they have raised beds, which are very appropriate for seniors, and it makes it much easier. And you can still enjoy the fruits, vegetables, or ornamentals and perennials in a raised bed.
What would you say is the one thing you love the most about your garden?
I love it all. I love it all. I guess I'm artsy fartsy. I like to see the end result. It just looks nice to me. I was a landscape designer, and so I have that pleasure of once something's put in to see the beauty of it.
Anything in special that you planted that you'd like to show us?
Sure. I really like, and it's always been a signature plant of mine, is the weeping yaupon holly. And because we've had several storms here and tornadoes, I have one that has been leaning, knocked over, but I've uprighted it several times, and the little baby has come back so many times. But I'm pretty proud of him. I have 2 of them.
We're going to take a walk into the front yard and look at the weeping yaupon holly. People are familiar with hollies. The yaupon is a native holly. Many people don't know that there's a weeping variety.
Come around, and then you can get up close and see the plethora of berries that will be coming.
Tell us a little bit about this plant.
I bought 2 at the same time from the native nursery when I first moved here. It was in a 25-gallon pot. It might have been 6 foot tall. And as you see, it's leaning, and I have 2 stakes at the bottom where the wind from the last storm was going that direction. Last time, Hurricane Idalia laid it on this side, laying flat. And the Master Gardener Coordinator, Wendy, and her friend came over and helped me right it up and restaked it.
How long ago was that you purchased?
This has been 3 years now.
And it's how tall? You want to stand next to it and get
Sure.
an idea?
It's probably 15 or 16 feet tall because I'm 5'5", 5'6".
And wait, don't move. Would you say it's doubled since you purchased it?
Yes, in width and height.
And that's in a 3-year period.
Yes, but of course I have babied, I have fertilized it, and I have watered it. And
how frequently do you fertilize?
I'm using a very slow release fertilizer. I think it's 18612. I'm not promoting this company. It's Harold's fertilizer. It's a homogenized fertilizer. It lasts 6 to 9 months, and just about everything on the property I put that down. So it's always there if a plant should need it.
Does it have berries on it?
This plant, I don't know if you can see it close up, it is loaded with berries. It is loaded. And so September, October, they'll turn red. And then, of course, the birds will have a heyday.
If you could pull a limb out, and there are the berries, and they turn bright red or maroon.
They're red, bright red.
That's going to be beautiful.
And it's just amazing that this tree, of what it's been through, leaning and laying, that it's still able to produce the fruit. It has a twin on the other side of the property, on the west side of my house, where I was going to use it as a sun barrier because it doesn't get as much water. It's not quite as tall as this, but they were bought at the same time and they were the same height.
We've come over to the west side, so it gets
full sun all day. It's very hot. This is the other weeping yaupon holly. It is full of berries as well, but it's not quite as large as the other one out front, but it was planted at the same time about 3.5 years ago, and same size. It's just all in the matter of its environment and what it gets, the amount of water, how it will produce.
It looks like it's at least 12, 15 feet tall.
Yes. And I did have this trellis constructed, and I have just put more Confederate jasmine. I'm hoping to have it grow. There's one at each post, and hoping it will fill and cover, because in the afternoon it will help keep this west side of the house cooler.
So that is one of the rooms you want to protect right there.
Yeah, and depending in the winter or summer how the sun is over there, here. I waited a year and watched the sun, and this was the spot that I needed to cover all 3 of these windows.
That's a very good idea.
It's a good tip for the west side. And the air conditioner unit is also on this side of the house. That is also a tip. If it's in shade, it lasts longer. I understand it'll extend the life of this equipment. Of course, you can't put anything over it, but this shade will help.
That's a good tip with the expense of electrical power.
Yes.
And we have to have air conditioning, especially as seniors. It's important that we manage the heat and not overdo it. What tip would you have for us senior gardeners about the heat?
Like you just said, be smart. When you're going to work in the mornings, work on the west side where it casts shade. Afternoons, work on the east where the shade is. Wherever there is the shade, that's where you should be working during the day. Plan your gardening according to the sun.
I noticed you're carrying water. Is there something about hydration that's important?
Of course, yes. If you can squeeze your skin and it takes a long time to go back, you're dehydrated.
Do you hydrate before you go out?
And during and after. Be smart. Work in the shade.
Lisa now takes us back to the front of the house and discusses the landscape design tip. Use a tall plant for height on a blank wall. Here
in the center of the 2 windows, I wanted something to cover with some height. That's a principle in your landscape design. You want some height on a blank wall. the Walters viburnum, and this is a native one that grows naturally in the woods. It's an understory, small tree, large shrub, and it has a very open and airy look to it and kind of wild. Some people like to keep them pruned and keep them a single or one or two trunks. I like to let it go, and it's turned out to be multi-trunked. These also have red berries and teeny tiny little white flowers that attract a lot of pollinators, and it's very fragrant. It has runners under the ground, and you can always cut off little sprouts that come off of the root. Easy peasy in propagating. And of course, it is a native plant, and so it's very minimal, and it's pest diseases, low maintenance.
So what size container did you buy?
This was in about a 3-gallon pot, and it might have been 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall. It has tripled its height and size in the 3 years.
Anything else?
Has a beautiful bark for identification. It's a gray, almost scaly-like, but it's not scales. It looks like they're spotted. It's a nice gray stem, trunk, and limbs. Another one of my signature plants.
You're calling this one of your signature plants?
Yes, in landscape design. I am a Taylor County Master Gardener Coordinator as well as the Ag and Natural Resource Extension Agent, and I try to practice what I preach on my own property. This is a Vitex Agnus castus tree, or a chaste tree, and up north in a cooler zone, it's a tree. Here in Florida, I've let this go in this shape. It's more of a hedge. It's multi-trunked. You can hear the bees and you can see them close up. The pollinators love it. And it's a beautiful blue and lavender color blooms, and it's easy to grow. It does very well here in North Florida. I can bend down.
That's amazing to see all the pollinators. You've got bumblebees, you have flies, you've got a skipper, butterfly. It's just loaded. How easy is it to purchase?
Easy to propagate, not necessarily to purchase. You can break off a stem and put it in water, and it roots so easily.
Did you buy this about the same time as the other ones?
Yes, I did. When I incorporated this bed as an entrance to have a little privacy behind the driveway going to the garage, I had no idea it would get this size, but it's fine.
It looks like it's about 6 feet.
Yes, and probably 8 to 12 feet wide. The trunks, it's a multi-trunk, and it's as big as your arm or leg, this size. I don't know if you can tell, but the difference between this is the bloom, and then this spike is like a grape spike. It's already bloomed, and it's forming the berries.
What color do the berries get?
They turn darker, bluish. I have seen this covered with birds.
When in the season does it ripen?
It'll be about September.
Sounds like that'd be good for migratory birds.
I have another one to compare. If we walk in the back, I planted them at the same time, and it's a single trunk. I've been keeping them trunks off, and it doesn't get as much water as this, and it's a world of difference in the sizes. A trend now is to encourage and bring back the pollinators. And I have, of course, preached to the master gardeners about meadowscaping. If you have a lot of turf, mow around areas you have seen where there's maybe coreopsis wild or any little dandelion, anything blooming like that kills me to have to mow over. I left a big circle there, and this is meadowscaping, and that's been 10 months of no mow. It was loaded with coreopsis. There's some still underneath the chase tree where we're going. This is probably a 100 square foot area that I've just let go, and we'll see what happens. A lot of the coreopsis seeds will reseed, and everything will fall in its place where it is, or the wind may blow some. This is also a chase tree. I planted those two at the same time, but it doesn't get the water like the one up close to the house. This one has finished blooming, and the seeds are starting to turn. It makes a nice specimen for a plant because of the blue color bloom. It has a nice smell also to it.
Is that a volunteer down there?
Yes, it is. And you may have it. If you want a small area of meadowscaping, I left a circular there.
This is a second meadowscaping area.
A lot of perennials in here.
What does that attract?
Well, as you can see, look closely down along the ground. There's a lot of ground wasps and flies and other butterflies and moths,
So
dragonflies.
There's a lot of activity lower to the ground.
Yes. One of my favorite places where we are sitting right now, Alice, is my front porch. It's small enough that it's cozy, but it's large enough where I have space. I have 2 rocking chairs and a bench that is a family heirloom that I treasure. I love to sit out here, especially in the morning and the evening, and just look out and see all the beautiful things that I planted and how lovely and how well they're doing. And hear the night sounds is a treat.
Looks like you've taken advantage of using some pots to fill in this area. What vision did you have when you decided to bring pots out here?
That was a experiment. The 2 black pots with the mammoth ferns, they supposedly can take sun, but here in Florida, they can't tolerate that full afternoon sun. And I had these in front of the driveway. I moved them here. When I out here, they're easy to water. It gives a little extra eye depth. This is your portal area. In a landscape design principle, you want to have your eye drawn to the front door. I have a pink front door, and these pots are the eye attractor, the eye candy that brings your eye to the door, to the portal area. This is one of my favorite spots.
I noticed you have some other kinds of ferns.
Yes, the foxtail ferns is in the asparagus fern family. They do very well in the shade, and this is facing north and it has a cover so I don't get a lot of sun here on the front. I have oak leaf hydrangeas and another hydrangea I just put in, but mostly the foxtail ferns to fill it in like a ground cover. The goldenrod, the tall grass that you are looking at right now, in about another month, it'll be beautiful yellow blooms on that. On the other side of the sidewalk is common Aztec grass or liriope, and it's mixed in with the green giant, which I love. It's a very flowy, dark green, has a beautiful bloom, which is blooming right now, the purple spikes. It's a nice border. It has a nice cooling effect and very low maintenance.
That's important.
Yes, for us seniors.
What about this trellis over here?
That is another coral honeysuckle. I had 2 trellises there, but Hurricane Idalia took them down, and I had a little stump, an inch tall of that plant left. I got another little trellis. I have 2 rebarbs that I've put in it to help secure it. It gives a little more privacy from that end of the open porch.
There's the rebarb holding it in place.
I painted the rebarb white so it would blend in with the trellis.
Comfortable place to be.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
You're welcome.
This has been a delight. I see your welcome flag. It certainly is welcoming.
But more importantly, the sign above the door.
The sign says,
"Welcome, ring bell. If no answer, pull weeds."
Here's the pink door. Beautiful setting. A welcoming to Lisa's house. She didn't mention it, but there's a ceiling fan, so it's even more comfortable out here with your morning coffee or tea, or in the afternoon when you want a break, because this is going to be in the shade.
In summary, I'd like to share with you some of the challenges and barriers. I really enjoy having the clean palette. Nothing was here. Not knowing this area well when I first started, it's pure sand, and I've had to do a lot of soil amending and learning about the area and the soil types. I really enjoy the trees that were here, the American sycamore, there's some chinkapin oaks, and the silver maples. I wanted to have a little barrier from the traffic. It's not a lot of traffic. This is a very remote area, but still, I planted some cedars along the front border. That was the very first plants that I planted. And then I brought in the weeping yaupon hollies. I like that there was nothing here, just the bahia grass. This was a large cow pasture. So I think the soil is quite fertile. And that's obvious from the success that I've had bringing in the perennials. The challenges are the bahia grass. Once it dies back in the winter, it does go dormant, and it's not a very dense grass. It doesn't look nice, but when rain touches it, it explodes and grows. It does grow in the summer. I am mowing more than I would like to, but I have reduced the mowing through using my meadowscaping and using a lot of mulch, pine straw, pine bark. I'm using a lot of pine straw because there's a lot of pine trees around here. It's a free natural resource, and that's helped a lot in the soil as far as amendments. I have no irrigation. It's all hand watered. I am in control of what needs what, when. I'm pretty happy, and the plant material that has survived is happy too.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.